Jeff, how are you?
I'm good, Sanjeev. How are you?
I'm very, very good, thank you. I'm a little bit in awe, if you don't mind me saying.
There's no reason, believe you
No,
me.
there is. If you were looking at it through my eyes, you would be awed at yourself.
Really?
You would.
Well,
you
maybe
would.
I would.
Yeah.
Now that you mention it, yeah.
Yeah, try it sometime.
No.
So, Thor Ragnarok, could you tell us about the film and particularly who the Grandmaster is?
Sure. Well, the Grandmaster, if you've read the comic books over the last few decades or Wikipedia'd him, you find out there's a whole backstory that you may not have seen if you saw the movie. You've seen
I have, yeah.
the movie. Yeah, me too, like a couple of weeks ago. Well, he's one of the elders, so-called, of the universe. He was born shortly after the Big Bang, like 4.6 billion years ago. And he and his brother, the Collector, played by Benicio del Toro in that other movie, have been around, and I'm immortal and I can fly. I have more superpowers than anybody. But these days I'm the leader of Sakaar, my pleasure planet there, and colorful planet, and play games. I like to play games and have fun with people and put on these gladiatorial matches. And the movie, stars, as you know, people that really deserve our awe, like Sir Anthony Hopkins, of course, and Kate Blanchett, and Mark Ruffalo, and Idris Elba, and Tessa Thompson. Chris Hemsworth, of course, is Thor himself. Tom Hiddleston is so wonderful in it. I'll bet you'd love him. Have you seen him? Did you see him do Hamlet recently on stage here?
I didn't. I've worked with Tom, and
you have?
Yeah, he's extraordinary.
Oh, he's extraordinary. What an impersonator, what an
Yes.
impressionist. He's very, very gifted. And of course, who else? Rachel House, who's done several of Taika's movies before. And who am I forgetting? And what a cast! Did I mention everybody?
Well,
and then Taika Waititi, who directed it. Do you know him?
Well, I know of his work.
Oh my golly. I adore him, and I think he's responsible for this being such a funny movie. It's so soulful, kind of. I was on the edge of my seat and laughing throughout, but then got choked up with it. I thought it was lovely.
Well, you've introduced a number of interesting names and people. I'd like to get back to them in a second. But in terms of the Thor Ragnarok, can you explain? Because I don't want people to think that's just his surname. He's Mr. and Mrs. Ragnarok's son. So Thor. Ragnarok. Could you explain what Ragnarok is?
Ragnarok is, I think, the term from Norse mythology whereby, what is it? It's the end of everything. The end of everything. And that's what he's facing in this movie. Isn't that the plot where his planet and I don't want to give anything away, but Kate Blanchett's powerful character is threatening to destroy his home planet and I think a lot of other places too. So it's the end of everything.
End of everything.
Ragnarok. I think if I got that right. Yeah.
I think that's right.
Something like that.
I mean, we'd probably use that in daily usage from now on. How's your day? It's a little Ragnarok.
It's a little end of doomed. Let's see. Yeah.
How was your omelet? Ragnarok.
Ragnarok. Oh, Jesus. Just the end of humanity as we know it. Yeah. You ever see a movie and say, how'd you like that movie?
Yeah.
The end of humanity as we know it.
So going back to the Grandmaster, how you mentioned that, he was very big in the comic books. I think it's the first time we've seen him in the Marvel movies.
I think so, yeah.
Except for a small bit at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy.
You noticed
if I
that.
recall.
Yes, that's right. They put me. We had. We improvised a lot of this movie. That's what the great Taika Waititi had us do. And so I played piano like I do in real life a little bit. He had me do that, and we made up a lot of stuff. And I sang in it, but during one sequence, he said, here, just keep the camera rolling, and I'll dance and do whatever I do. So I just copied his dancing and did some dances, and they put a little snippet of me dancing during the end of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. You've set up a menu here. I feel like I've now got to just go back to things because you've introduced so many interesting things. Okay, let's go back to just the setup in case people don't know with this particular Thor film is that it kind of leads on from, I guess, the last Avengers film. Thor is out on his own in the galaxy trying to kind of save people and save things and a bit of a loner and then is called back to kind of deal with Hela, who's played by Kate Blanchett,
Yes.
amongst other people, and then falls into your planet of
Sakaar. Sakaar.
Close but no Sakaar.
But no cigar. Did you just think of that now?
I'm winging it.
I like. Do you like puns?
Yeah.
Some say they're the lowest form of humor, but I think they're
Puntastic.
Can be puntastic. Listen to you. You're on fire.
Okay. Can I just ask you about Taika? Because mainly his background, or people who may know his background, is connected with comedy, with Flight of the Conchords and with What We Do in the Shadows.
I love that all improvised movie. Yeah,
See me. He can't
and he's
see
in
me.
it, and Taika's in it, and he's hilarious in that movie and in this movie. He's a wonderful actor, yeah.
What difference does it make to have somebody directing you who is an actor but also understands the nuance of comedy in the way that you do? I mean, what sort of direction was he given? Was he giving?
Well, he's fantastic. I mean, and his particular sense of humor, which is all over this movie and everybody's performance and the choice of music and everything. And he's a painter. He is a painter and a photographer and a musician himself. So his artfulness is all over this. And as an actor, he's very sensitive as a director, being an actor. And he's a sensitive, sweet, generous, kind man anyway. But we would improvise, and he'd say, here's the script, which was a lovely document. But he'd say, do more of your own, do whatever you want. And I had ideas, and I'd do a lot of things. And they'd say, okay, keep the camera rolling. Here, say this. He would write on the spot and just sort of invent on the spot. And he'd say this. Here, Jeff, talk about this. And I liked that. He was very, very good and had great ideas. But his particular New Zealand kind of unique sense of humor is fantastic.
It's very dry, isn't it? It's a very dry sense of humor.
Dry, and you see him in the movie. He's hilarious in this movie, and all those Flight of the Conchords series. I thought that was great. It was kind of new to me. It was very kind of fresh feeling to me.
I read in one of your earlier interviews that you said you kind of crossed over for a day with Kate Blanchett, and you got to see her prepare.
Yeah.
Can you let on what her preparation?
I did a little bit. I don't want to give anything away, but with her part. But I'd had contact with her over the years because we did that Wes Anderson movie, Life Aquatic, and so I'd met her on that, and then I'd seen her on stage. She did a version of Streetcar Named Desire where she played Blanche Dubois that I saw in Brooklyn. That was spectacular, and she was the best Blanche Dubois I'd ever seen, and I've seen a bunch of them, and I can imagine that Woody Allen must have seen that and thought, hey, I'm not going to remake this play, but I could write that same part, a version of that part, and put it in Blue Jasmine. And she's just fantastic. And then, no, I didn't have any scenes with her in this, but it happened that, and I was thrilled that I could overlap and come to the set to do something in preparation while she was finishing up her last day of filming. And so I saw her in this. It was great to see her anyway, and she's always so sweet. But seeing her act was really something, and she's so powerful in this movie and alluring in a wonderful way, and funny herself, and vivid and spectacular.
Can I ask you about your preparation? Do you have a routine before you start the day? Do you meditate? Do you play music? Do you kind of recite poetry?
I'm a kind of a craft geek. I've always wanted to be an actor in the worst way. I got to study with somebody really good, Sandy Meisner, in 1970, right after high school, and then went on to teach for a couple of decades, something of his method. So I was very interested in the nuts and bolts of it, and made an experiment of what you're talking about, a little bit, that aspect of it, and what you could best do to make yourself ready to do the best version of the scenes or the play or the moment. And over the years, I've experimented with a lot of different things in terms of preparation. My current thinking, although I don't have a formula, and each puzzle needs its own solution, I find, but these days I'm a little more self-trustful. I'm trying to get better as I go along. I'm lucky to have kept getting chances, I feel, and I feel like I'm on the threshold of getting doing some better things. And in my self-trustfulness now, I'm enjoying less what you're talking about. What do you call that kind of, preparation? I used to, I've done lots of things, and I'm nothing if not conscientious. When I get a part, I start working on it. I start working on a new movie in a couple of days, and I've been working on it every day in a certain way, and there are lots of different things. I have to, for instance, smoke a pipe in this. I've never smoked a pipe, so I've been working on that a little bit, and all kind of different things. Oh, I'm reading a good book that is not literally related to the movie, but thematically it is. And I think it's giving me, I'm really enjoying that. So, different solutions for different puzzles. But this business of, I used to go in with a lot of accoutrement and some books and music to read and things I felt I needed to get into some kind of condition. In a more energized condition or a broken down, mushy, vulnerable, weepy condition, that always feels good to an actor, before you start. Or these days, I don't do that. I come as is. I get a good night's sleep and I get some food. And I do like to play the piano. On this movie, I had a piano in my dressing room and I went through my routine, but that was just because I was going to play the piano in the movie and da-da-da. So more like that. What do you do? Because I'm interested in what other people do too. Well, what do you do?
Well, I kind of, music particularly, I think is a really useful way in. I think because it's a mood thing and I think that's kind of helpful. But also mainly I just kind of like ask people like you so I can gather some tips.
Well, I'm always gathering and trying to figure out how to do it myself. But I used to use music as kind of I need to all the songs that really do something to me, and then I'd have like those sports guys you see. They come into the stadium with headphones on, and I used to have headphones because some songs make me cry and I'd use them. Now I'm like, no. If something has done something to me before, I don't want to use anything that I have up my sleeve. Nothing like that. I kind of attend to the problem of the scene and give it some attention. If something occurs to me in solving the thing, if some music or an idea occurs to me, I'll make use of that. But in the solving of the scene and what I need on the day, not so much, geez, I need to have, I used to run through a whole play before I would do my play. I did a run of a play where I did eight shows a week, but I'd be in the dressing room a couple hours before and do another whole play that I thought broke me down and stuff. I'm boring you with all this. This is inside baseball stuff, but I don't do any of that anymore, and I'm glad for it.
Let me just ask you one question, which is that as a piano player, as a jazz piano player, what song would you choose as the Grandmaster's theme?
Well, it might be different every day, and some, I don't know, like I say, but I like what Taika chose. I was surprised when I saw the movie because this was not in the script. He didn't, and nor did I'm not sure when he had it, but we didn't have it while I was shooting. My character is introduced, if you remember, and somebody's talking about you're about to meet the Grand Master, and this song is playing from Willy Wonka. That song, "Come With Me, and We'll Be in a World of Pure Imagination." That's pretty good. I mean, that's what the movie suggests is my intro song. That's pretty good,
And what will we see you in next?
So I've got a little part in Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom.
Just pause for the applause around the world. Thank you.
And I was thrilled to do that. And then I'm in the next Wes Anderson movie. I voice one of these dogs in Isle of Dogs, along with an amazing cast.
The Isle of Dogs is in London.
The Isle of Dogs is in London.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
It's an area in London called the Isle of Dogs.
I had no idea.
Okay.
What is it? What's the Isle of Dogs in London?
It's a bunch of buildings and shops.
Why do they call it the Isle of Dogs?
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe dogs ruled there once.
Really? Where is it? And is it an interesting part of town?
It's in the city of London, so it's near the city airport and the old part of the city of London.
Dogs. I'll be
darned. It's an actual place.
I wonder if, I'm sure Wes knew about that, and I wonder if, sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming that Wes Anderson's film is about dogs.
It is.
I don't want people here thinking it's about this area of London, which is
I don't think it is.
offices.
But maybe in his thing, I'm sure he knows everything. He's a grandmaster genius, And then I just did a movie with Jodie Foster called Hotel Artemis, and I'm about to start this thing called The Mountain with an interesting director named Rick Alverson, whose last movie was called Entertainment. Michael Cera was in it, and John C. Reilly. A very kind of, some may think avant-garde, arty, kind of experimental, wonderful movie. So I'm excited about doing this.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Jeff Goldblum, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. You're so nice for doing this. Thank you very much. Thank you.